New South Wales driver James Spicer is a newcomer to the Hi-Tech Oil Swift Racing Series this weekend. We wanted to see how he felt ahead of his big debut.
Well, basically how I feel is quite nervous, quite nerve-wracking. Haven't been in the car for 18 months, obviously, so it's all new to me. Driving a Formula Ford back 18 months ago, jumping into a front-wheel drive car, it is a lot more different than it is than I thought it was. Jumping into the car is a whole new different strategy, a whole new different way to drive the cars, but I've got a positive attitude towards the race.
While James doesn't have a famous surname like Grice, for example, he still brings a rich racing background into the Swift Racing Series.
With the karting, I had 5 years background, jumped into Formula Ford in 2011. We got Rookie of the Year by almost triple the points, and third in the championship. Most concerned about is Gricey. He's probably the one to compete with, as well as car number 33. It's going to be quite a difficult run, quite a competitive category, so it's going to be quite enjoyable. Well, the big dream is obviously VS Supercars or anything around that mark, but we're struggling race by race, but we're going to push as far as we possibly can and not give up.
The young 18-year-old, a new competitor here this weekend, and he may well be in for the surprise of his life. Let's take a look at highlights of race one, and it was our series leader that got off to a pretty good start, but the action was thick and fast right throughout this race. Grice seemed to be involved in most of it, Richard.
Yeah, Callan Sayers fired one down the inside. It got more feisty later on, down at turn 11. Andrew Price down the inside of not one, but two cars in one corner, and that's just par for the course in Swift Racing this year, Boydo.
I think Sayers was very nice. You could see the car diving down the inside. The checkered flag came out, and it was a victory for the man who's on top of the points. But this is a long weekend here at Winton Raceway. Nice clean start in the second race, but the action came thick and fast and very early on.
Yeah, race one was competitive. This was insane stuff. Almost four wide down into turn 11. Callan Sayers in the national TV sponsored car down the inside of two cars. Benny Grice hung out to dry at turn 12. Alan Jarvis was leading. Watch this though. Big moment at turn 1. Bouncing over the grass goes the Finance Easy car. Launches into the air and just misses hitting the wall.
And it was Alan Jarvis that took victory in race 2, primarily because he was the only one left out there. No, not the case. It was a hard-earned victory, but did set the stage for a fascinating race in race 3 of the Hi-Tech Oils Australian Swift Racing Series.
It's been wild so far.
Jarvis goes from pole. We've got Fraser alongside. Then we go back to Price and Grice. Spicer in 5th. Not a bad go for his first outing.
Spice behind Price and Grice there in the second row of the grid. So
yeah,
this should be wild, man. It's been wild this weekend so far. 2 different winners from 2 races. Lights are on. This is going to be a feisty race, Boydo. We're underway at Winton.
On board with the Queenslander, Ben Grice, who got a nice clean start, but you can see it's pretty much situation status quo. Everybody with the same amount of drive off the line, which makes it interesting into turn 1. They all tighten up. Nobody wants to give. Grice did a good job of staying out of harm's way there.
We saw that incident in race 2 in the highlights just before, with everyone bounding off the grass at turn 1 and 2. Just about everyone said after that second race, I had a chance to win that, except ... It was just full of drama.
Alan Jarvis out in front at the moment. He's maintained the lead through the first couple of turns, but does look like the cars behind have a little bit more pace. On board with Jamie Spicer, the 18-year-old who's stepped into the Swift Racing Series for the first time. And I've got to say, for somebody who's having their first one in such a competitive class, he's stayed out of trouble.
Yeah,
I've spoken too early though.
Well, quite possibly, but he's improved his times massively over the course of the weekend. He started out in first practice a couple of seconds off the pace, but worked his way up through the grid and got himself in a competitive position. He qualified 6th, but he's raced his way towards the front. On board the Finance Easy Swift now with Ben Grice, one of the stars of round 2 at Phillip Island, just missed out on getting the race victory there. The field led by Alan Jarvis. By Alan's standards, he's had a quiet start to the year, but finally got that race victory he's been looking for in race 2. He leads the way in this one.
Callan Sayer trying to move his way forward, sits back there in about 6th spot at the moment. Ben Grice, just watching him under brakes, he just seems to be able to brake a little bit later than the competitors around him, and that's giving him a slight advantage. Goes up the inside, tries to slide through into 2nd spot. sits on the middle of the road, just gives a little bit of hip and shoulder to make sure that he's going to maintain that spot. And this has allowed Spicer to come right into the fight. Look at this, 4 of them, nose to tail, 5, even 6.
Andrew Price, another one that's been impressive in the Race for Kids sponsored entry. They're on Facebook. It's a great cause that Andrew's pushing very, very hard. Race for Kids. Jump on Facebook, search for them and find out what they're about. It's a great cause. Sayers in behind them. So the Shannon National Scholarship winner at the start of the year, basically a fully funded drive to running the Swift Series. So he's been very, very impressive this weekend.
I don't know if you caught that, Richard. Spicer coming into that right hand to turn the wheel left.
That's the last thing you want to see, isn't it? Really? You just hold your breath.
The back had stepped out so much, he automatically went for left lock. Unbelievable.
Sayers down the inside, just had a look at turn 5, fastest corner on the racetrack, decided to back out of it, but they're just positioning themselves at the moment, you feel, for a flourish to the end of this one. Ben Grice still second, still trying to catch our race leader Alan Jarvis in the Achilles car.
Don't count Luke Fraser out. We're on board with him now in the CLS Finance machine. He's involved in a battle at the moment that is just going on turn after turn, and that's inhibiting his overall lap times. If he gets a bit of clear track, oh, look at this on the inside too. He's got a competitor sitting right there on the outside that he's battling with, and I believe that is our new boy in James Spicer. It certainly is, who's doing a really good job under big pressure.
Price.
And Price has a go.
Almost rolls the 13 car, too much curb, and got up on 2 wheels, and it cost him momentum, and that'll allow Callan Sayers to go down the inside into turn 13. Or will it? How's Pricey down the outside? He's got some bravery. A lot of these guys, they qualified very early on Saturday, Boydo. All 3 races today, the Sunday here at the Shannon's Nationals round. A lot of the Queenslanders in the Swift Series field, including our series or race leader, Alan Jarvis, went to Mount Buller yesterday afternoon and went tobogganing. I think a lot of them have still got that rush of blood to the head at the moment, spurring them on in this 3rd race.
Well, there's no argument that that car that we're looking at on screen at the moment, something you don't see in motorsport very often, car 13.
Yes.
Lucky for some, but at the moment it's being used to its absolute maximum to try and get past Fraser down the inside. Price has another look. Door gets shut. He's being very aggressive and competitive, but not doing anything wrong.
What I like about this series, Boydo, is that you can have a crack, but you've got to be wary that if you have too big a crack, you'll cost yourself momentum and opening yourself up to attack from the car behind. And we saw that Price running very wide at turn 3.
This is a good little battle up front too. Alan Jarvis, vastly experienced in this category, under a mountain of pressure at the moment from Grice. There's James Spicer getting it all loose and wobbly coming on the exit of the sweeper.
Well, he's come out of Formula Ford, has James, so he's used to drifting cars around, but it's generally not the ideal thing to do in a front-wheel drive Suzuki Swift in the Australian Swift Racing Series.
He's probably just saying, I couldn't get away with that in the years gone by,
correct.
but now I can have a bit of fun.
Battle for the lead. Grice looking racy so far. Just locks a rear brake, so shows how hard he's driving that car into a corner, Boydo, locking the rear, so the rears are unloading, and as he gets the car turned in, the inside wheel basically off the ground, so he's driving that thing so hard at the moment.
And he really is under brakes. He's just so strong, and you can see Alan Jarvis, with all his experience in the Swift Racing Series, was not able to defend under the braking of Ben Grice sitting right behind. He's racing with just the perfect sort of aggression, not overstepping the bounds of adhesion out there, but going as hard as you can, and they've got 1 more lap to go, and you know that Ben Grice is going to have a go down the inside, clips the inside of the rivel strip, makes it nice and clean, but gets past Jarvis with 3/4 of a lap left in this one, and Jarvis wants to fight back.
It's not over yet. He looks down the inside, down into turn 3. Contact between the leaders, and Grice gets away with it. So too does Jarvis, but now he'll open to attack from Spicer, who's in 3rd place.
He didn't want to get out of the accelerator, just gave Alan Jarvis a little bit of a push along there, sitting back there in 3rd. This could be an interesting race for him, finishing on the podium in his first ever round, but he's got these 2 guys up in front that are battling hard at the moment.
Oh, how was
Grice!
the moment? How was the slide out of turn 5? And he's just driven away from Jarvis in just the space of a few corners.
Spicer gets tagged from behind. I think it was Fraser that just gave him a tap in the rear quarter, and does get past too.
Yeah, so they're side by side, 2 by 2 behind the leader. Jarvis now clear in 2nd. Here goes Price looking to get himself on the podium. He wants 3rd place, but he's still side by side with the Swift rookie.
Unbelievable at the moment. Look at this, off-road in the paddock as well.
So James Spicer off the road at the exit of turn 9 and does some off-roading. He's lost a bunch of positions.
Well, that's disappointing. He was racing so well up to that point, but just a little bit of muscle upset the flow of the car. And as you say, once you're in a position where you've lost momentum, it's all over Red Rover.
And breathe. What a wild exchange that was for a couple of laps. The net result is that Ben Grice is going to win this motor race. What an outstanding drive. Second in race 1. He was 6th in race 2, but he's worked hard to get this one and wins race 3 of the Swift Series here at Winton.
And none harder, I would suggest, than Andrew Price, who manages to finish in 3rd. There's the results on your screen at the moment. A great performance for the race for kids entry. Fraser in there in 4th, and Sayers rounds out the top 5. What a fantastic 3rd race.
I'm stoked to be here, even the second in the last race. You know, it's still got me on the top of the round, so I'm absolutely stoked with this weekend, and it's made me feel a lot better about the rest of the year.
Yeah, definitely pleased considering the start to the weekend. Rolled it over on Friday and I thought that was going to be the end of it. So yeah, great to get here, grab second position. Alan Jarvis did a great job this weekend, and then Andrew Price to get up on the podium. So yeah, really happy with that, and got a small extension in the championship lead. So yeah, great weekend overall.
Well, they all have smiles on their faces at the end of that race, which is a surprise. Fraser's still out in front in the series with Ben Grice up into 2nd, Alan Jarvis in 3rd, Andrew Price. Then we go back to Callan Sayer. It has been a fantastic round here at Winton. If you'd like to catch them live, round 5 of the Shannon's Nationals, July 12 to 14 at Sydney Motorsport Park. It should be a thriller.